Hello musicians, welcome back. My name is Bucky Dirtle and I am doing a video tutorial today on the Vult Trummer module. This is a drum synthesizer. This is for the VCV rack, open source DAW, so you should check that out first of all. And if you're looking for a really cool drum synthesizer, this is what you want to look for. It's fantastic. There's one of two that I'm going to be reviewing or doing tutorials on by Vult. This is Trummer and Trummer 2, but I'm going to be doing Trummer 2 in another tutorial. This is the first of a few tutorials that I'm going to be doing on Trummer. Today I'm going to be talking about the oscillator in Trummer. We're going to be talking about tune, bend, drive, attack, hold, and release. So we'll be talking about that, and I'm going to show you how that works here in Trummer. But there are many other features of Trummer that we'll be talking about in future tutorials. So let's get started. I have scope here, so we can see some of the sounds we're going to be making. I also am running Grayscale's algorithm as our little sequencer. I'm using AS BPM clock to give us a clock. We're going out to our VC mixer, which is fundamentals. I also have VCO1, which I'm not going to be using for this tutorial, but I'm going to be using for future ones. I'm going to leave the guys here, LFO1 and VCO1. I shall take that guy out. I'll be using those in future tutorials. So Trummer 1, first of all, oscillator. Oscillator. Now, Trummer is a drum machine. Is a drum synthesizer. It's not a drum machine where you can program in drum sounds and things and do rhythms. We need a sequencer for that. This just creates drum sounds. And let me just initialize this, and I'll push go, and you can hear that we have noise part of our drum machine, and we have tone, and we can change things like our attack and our hold and all kinds of things. Get all kinds of cool things. So there's all kinds of things we can do with this drum synthesizer. But in order to understand it, I'm going to focus today on just the oscillator, the beginning of the oscillator, like I said at the beginning. Okay, so first of all, tune, bend, drive, attack, hold, and release. Okay, if I'm going to turn down the noise section of this drum synthesizer so we can only hear the oscillator. I'm going to push play. Now we can hear the oscillator. We have a level for this. We can turn the level down and up depending on what we want. It gives us a little sound. First of all, if you see over in our scope, you can see the drum sounds as they're playing from the oscillator. I can tune that. Actually, let me just take this output to X so we can actually see the waveform as well. See the frequency, sorry. And if I tune this down, you'll see that our frequency gets longer. So you can see that here we go. If I turn my frequency up here on the tune, you can see the frequency changing. You can hear it as well. You can see the waveform showing the frequency getting quicker. Now getting shorter. So tune it makes our oscillator, the tone of our oscillator, it just changes the frequency. Piece of cake. Not much to that. It's not much to it, but you know, a drum sound in our typical 808, 909 kind of drum sounds has an oscillator sound in a lot of the drum sounds. So this tune lets us change the frequency of our oscillator. Okay, so that's that. Now let's move on to bend. Now if you listen to the sound, you'll hear that it doesn't actually, the oscillator isn't actually hitting one solid tone. It slides down. It's got a portamento down to the note. It's a quick portamento, quick glide down to the note. If I make my bend to go up even higher, now you can hear it's a really fast portamento down to every note. If I go to center, now there's no portamento. If I go down, now you can hear the notes gliding up. You hear that? So that's what bend does. Bend is a portamento. So we can slide up and down to the note depending on what we want. By default, it's a little bit high and it slides down, which gives us a sound that we're used to hearing in a lot of our vintage drum machines. So there you go. Bend is a really cool little option. Now drive, drive to me, there's not a lot of documentation on this. Drive to me enriches the overtones a little, enriches the harmonics a little bit. It raises the amplitude a little, but it seems like it brings out the overtones a little more. I'm not exactly sure what the process is going on with drive because there isn't any documentation that I can find on it. But you can hear the overtones get enriched a little bit as I drive it a little. So that's something you might want to play with. Get certain sounds you like. Now, next we're on to attack, hold, and release. Now, in other videos, I've spoken a lot about ADSR. Attack, decay, sustain, and release. This is attack, hold, and release. So it's a little bit more simplified, but it is still that. Now, that's one of the reasons why I have my scope open here, because our scope lets us look at our shape of our sound. And you can see here that if I take my attack and I move my attack up quite a bit, look at the way the actual sound changes. If I move it down a bit, you see attack, of course, is the very beginning of the note. We've talked about this in other videos. When we're doing synthesis, ADSR is at the core of it. So attack, if I bring it all the way down to 0, the note sounds immediately. As I increase it, the note is slower to start. Okay? So there you go. Now let's go to release. Release is how quickly the note drives and fades away. I'm going to slow down my tempo quite a bit. Now let's just turn our release down. You see, it fades off pretty quickly. Now, let's play with the hold. Turn hold all the way off. So the note just happens, the attack happens, and then it's the release. With hold, the note's held on for a little bit before it begins releasing. You see that? It holds on for a little while before the release starts. So I turn it all the way down. You see that? So that lets us shape the sound. Now, that's pretty cool because the drum sounds that we make for our music may not always want to be a simple snare drum sound or a simple bass drum sound. Maybe you might want to make it sound a little bit so it's got like a longer hold, or it's got a slower release or a longer release. Who knows? This lets you do that. Okay, so attack, hold, and release is a simplified version of ADSR. Not really simplified, of course, but because ADSR is not very complicated in the first place. But it's certainly it's something to look at. Okay, anyway, that's basically it for the first look at Trummer by Vult. And I love Vult's modules. They are one of my favorites. I love them. They're so in your face. Now, next time I see you, we're going to talk about all kinds of other things. There's lots more to talk about in Trummer. So we're going to talk about all kinds of other aspects of this module. So make sure you check back for more tutorials on Vult's Trummer drummer synthesizer. Okay, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. I enjoy this, and I hope you have fun with your music. I'd love to hear about it. Make sure you connect with me on the utopian.io Discord. You can also get me in the Steam It chats and in the PAL Discord. Get me in the comments as well on this utopian.io post, and I'd be happy to get back to you if you ask me a question or tell me about your music. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.